So good morning, everyone. Again, as usual, I would like to start with a short mindful meditations, breathing exercise. Okay. Make yourself relax, comfortable, and if possible, keep your straight back straight. And breathe in and out naturally. And as you inhale and exhale, try to keep your mind to the breath, observing it mindfully, and being aware as you breathe in, being aware you are breathing in. As you breathe out, exhale, being aware of that. Simply just learning to observe mindfully and being aware of that, what is happening here with the breath. While you are trying to keep your mind on the breath, if any sensations, thoughts arises, be aware of them, but always bring your mind back to the breath. Once your mind is quiet and settled down, then we can try to reflect and contemplate that if our mind is not free from all those disturbing negative emotions, such as strong craving or desire, anger, hatred, we will feelings, those harsh feelings, strong jealousy mind, to strong ego mind, where one feel like I have to be the center of the world. Ignorance and so forth, all those different disturbing negative emotions, as long as we have those, we can never find true lasting inner peace and joy, happiness. Whether you are poor or whether you are rich, doesn't matter. You will be unhappy. Your mind will be unhappy, disturbed, agitated. It doesn't matter whether you have degree or highest level of degree in your education or you don't have degree. It doesn't matter from which part of the world you come from, how you look. Doesn't matter whether you are a woman, man, or in between, grown up, child, young. When one of those disturbing negative emotion arises, it will make that person very unhappy, disturbed, agitated. It doesn't matter whether you believe in any religion or any spiritual path or you don't believe. If you have those negative emotions, doesn't matter. Wherever you are, it will disturb your mind, make you unhappy, agitated. Therefore, if we want to find more peace, more inner joy, inner happiness, more stability, calm in our mind, in our life, we have to reduce and overcome those disturbing negative emotions as much as possible. Less disturbing negative emotions, less strong, intense emotions, the more peace, more joy you will find. Therefore, I must put effort as much as I can to reduce and overcome and destroy those disturbing negative emotions, which are the root cause of our own unhappiness, as well as cause to create harm to others. And in order to reduce and eliminate them, one need to engage in the right, correct meditations, contemplations, practice. And for that, we need to engage in those meditation practice, contemplations. For that, we need to be reminded of that. We need to study and learn about how to practice, contemplate, meditate correctly. For that very reason, I'm going to listen. And not only listen, but if I find anything helpful and beneficial from the talk, that I will try to integrate and implement and practice as much as possible in my everyday life. May our act of coming here together to listen and to with the good intentions, may all this become cause and conditions to achieve our highest potential, the fully awakened state. So we can be most in greatest help and benefit to all sentient beings, including oneself. Yeah. So refuge and generating bodhicitta, prayer. I go for refuge until I am enlightened
to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merits I create through listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings. Sangye Choran Soki Chonam La Jonshu Bardu Dagni Kapsuchi Dagi Chonen Gepe Sognamgi Jola Penshir Sange Drupar Sho Sange Choran Soki Chonam La Jonshu Bardu Dagni Kapsuchi Dagi Chonen Gepe Sognamgi Jola Penshir Sange Drupar Sho.
Kanje tuje nizone, tawa tamje pangbeche, tambe chune tunje be, kodam de la chapsalo. So welcome everyone, and Thank you for joining today. So we have been following one particular text, and we are coming to a kind of end of that text. So in that, the author explained the path to gradual path to enlightenment from Buddhist point of view. And within that, he break into 3 sections, chapters, and we are in third chapters, you can say, where he talk about the practice of the great scope or the practice of, the bodhisattva practice or the path. And within that, we discuss about particular practice meditations that about how to cultivate loving kindness, compassions, true loving kindness, compassions, and awakening mind or enlightened mind of the bodhicitta. So he go through the certain meditation technique to cultivate those mind and to increase and improve those mind. For those who have not cultivated those mind, how to cultivate those mind. And for those who have already cultivated, how to increase and improve and not to degenerate it. And once you have cultivated true love, compassion, bodhicitta mind, then how to engage in the practice through different practices, such as known as the 6 perfections or 6 paramitas. And so we are on that sections. So the 6 paramitas or 6 perfections are the practice of the perfection of generosity, moral discipline, patience, joyous effort in the virtues, meditative concentration, and wisdom. Those are the known. And when we talk about paramita or perfections, it could be understood as a result or the path that lead to that result. And when we talk about result, the perfections, then that is in the state of fully enlightened one. The practice of generosity, or the fully enlightened one, is the most perfect generosity. The practice of moral discipline of the fully enlightened one is the most perfect moral discipline. And same with the patience, joyous effort, meditative concentration, and wisdom. So when we talk about a result, from the result point of view, the paramita or perfections is the result of the perfection of enlightenment. And then it could be also understood a path that lead to that perfections state. And so when we talk about the path that lead to, then it is the practice of the bodhisattvas. And bodhisattvas are those individuals, practitioners or individuals who have cultivated, unconditional true love, compassion, and awakening bodhicitta, that they have those state of mind that they have developed, that they can have those without any effort, effortlessly, that they can feel that. And so and if we try to be even more precise of what perfections, even on the path, then really the true perfection path comes only when you reach the first bhumi, the path of seeing. because your practice of generosity, moral discipline, patience, all others are supported by the wisdom realizing the ultimate truth directly, as well as the bodhicitta mind, and that practice become the true practice of the perfections of those generosity, you know. But of course, while you are on the path, whatever we try to practice, if our practice is kind of supported by the bodhicitta motivations, even if we don't have true bodhicitta mind, but at least with the effort, we try to develop that motivations, and through that motivations, if we engage in those practice, supported by a certain level of wisdom, then that could be, the practice of perfection, generosity. So the first, as I'm going to read, page number 25, and where it says, practice the six perfections. And it comes the first one, how to train in perfection with generosity. So that is the first parameter or thing. Based on the motivation to attain Buddhahood in order to be of benefit to all sentient beings. So, and then practice. So again, the generosity, the perfection of generosity is a practice of generosity or giving that is driven by these incredible motivations of to be greatest benefit to all sentient beings and to achieve your highest potential, fully awakened state in order to be greatest benefit to all, each and every sentient beings. Motivated by that, then you engage in the practice of generosity giving without any miserliness, hesitation, miserliness, but with the joy, delightfully, you give, you share, so that is generosity in terms of practice of generosity. Of course, when you give something to someone, to help someone, whatever that might be, as it will come, it could be material things, it could be your time, it could be your skills, it could be your knowledge, experiences. So there are so many things that we can share, that we can give, practice generosity. So whatever different object do you practice of generosity, the practice of generosity come through the thought or the mind of giving. That is what generosity is, the mind of the giving, the thoughts or the mind of wanting to give, or the mind to give. And that is what we train. We train this mind, At the moment, we are unable to give because even when we have sometimes more than we need, even when we have something that we can give that can help that person's to reduce the other person's pain and sufferings, even if we have something to give, if we give, that could reduce that someone's pain and suffering, or even release the pain and suffering completely. But sometimes we are unable to give. We are unable to give because our mind is holding on that object, tightly. We don't want to release it. Our mind doesn't want to release it. Our mind wants to hold tightly to that. And the mind that holds very tightly and unable to let it go, release, is that miserliness, a greedy mind, miserliness mind, stingy mind. That is the obstacles or internal obstacle to practice the generosity. Because of that mind, and because of that mind, and we come with all different story why we cannot let it go. Maybe I don't have enough to give, even though we have enough to give, even more than enough. But our mind, that mind who doesn't want to let it go and who is holding so stingy, so it needs a reason why I cannot give. And so then we come with all different thoughts and mind, reason, feeling insecurity. If I give, I will not have enough. If I give, what will happen to me if this happen or that happen, all this and that. And so generosity mind is training your mind of training your mind and to let it go and not to hold it too tightly, And when you train your mind and when you have that mind of, open and, not holding so tightly and all of that and not feeling insecure and the fear of letting go, the fear and, feeling insecure of giving it. When there is no more of that mind, then when you have something to give, you will give. You wouldn't have a problem to practice generosity giving. And so the practice of generosity in terms of mental state, the practice of generosity, of training your mind to give, is an antidote that counters this stingy mind, this miserly and greedy mind. And also, generosity is the true expressions of compassion. When you have compassions, you would want to help. When you have true compassion for someone, you will really want to help that person. If there is a way that you can reduce their pain, you will do that, and by practicing the generosity. So it is the expressions of true love, compassions, as well as training in the practice of generosity is also training to become more kind and compassionate as well. So it works both ways. How a lot of practice are like that, interconnected. When you engage one practice, it helps the other practice become more stronger. And when you engage in that practice, it helps the other part of the practice more stronger. When you engage in practice of compassion, it will help you to be more generous. The more compassionate, more kind person you are, the more you will be able to be more generous when you can. On the other side, when you train your mind to be more kind, more generous, and to be more generous, to give more, to support more in that way, it also, helps to improve your loving kindness, compassion, bodhicitta mind. It's like, giving water to the seeds of your loving kindness, compassion, bodhicitta. And like everything else, everything can be trained. You can get better by training. If you don't train, you don't get better. So it is same with your physical, if you are trying to, improve your physical movements or different things, you have to train. If you don't train, that doesn't happen. Same with our mind. If you want to improve your mind, you have to train. Without training, it doesn't come. If you want to be more compassionate, you have to train. If you want to be more generous, you have to train. If you want to be more concentrated, you have to train. If you want to be more wise with more wisdom, you have to train your mind. And so same here, as in, is of course some peoples you can see by birth more kind, compassionate, more generous, and then some people by birth they are more stingy. They have more challenge is practicing generosity. They are more stingy, more greedy, more miserliness. By they are from the birth. Some of them are more kind of more aggressive instead of more compassionate. But again, those can be trained. From Buddhist point of view, someone is more by birth. They have such qualities because of their training from the past. And those who doesn't have those by nature or by birth, those positive qualities, they can train to have those positive qualities through meditation training, through practice meditations is something. And again, this not something kind of just an idea out there. Is if you really train, you can change, and it is something that has shown even from the scientific experience, research as well. It's not just told by some meditator saying that is how they experience, but even researchers can show that. So anyway, so in terms of the mind, as we were talking at the very beginning, the motivations when talking, there are some disturbing negative emotions that are harmful to us, and that also become cause for us to create harm to others. And among those, one of those negative emotions is those miserliness, greediness, stingy mind is one of them. And how can we reduce that? How can we reduce that mind? And how can we, distort that mind? Is by cultivating the opposite mind of that, and that is the mind of generous, the mind of the generous, which is the mind to give. And so that can, there is a story, there's a stories of, individual, during the Buddha's time, who was having extremely difficult with the practice of generosity, extremely difficult with practice of generosity to give, So, and then the Buddha, advised, to give, to train, to give from one hand to another hand. At the very beginning, it's interesting, But for some people, it's so difficult to give anything to anyone. So first is giving from one hand to another. It's just kind of training your mind to let it go from one place to another place. It's in your hand, you're holding too tightly, in your mind. And so from training your mind to let it go from here, this place to here, being comfortable with that, being okay with that. And that is at the very beginning training. And then slowly, as the person got more and more comfortable with that and letting go of the strong grasping so tightly, and then, encourage to give small things to someone who is dear to them, friends, family members. And he was able to do that. And then slowly, to be able to give a little bit more bigger, little bit better, little bit more. And slowly, encouraging and helping to give to someone who might not be, related to them, but someone who need help. And slowly, that person become, through such training over the time, the person was able to practice generosity without much difficulties. And so that is example of through training how we can train. Even someone like such a difficult, you can actually reach the point that. So sometimes we feel, we are not enough generous, or I cannot practice generous, or I'm having a difficult generous. Then we have to really train to do that. And if you train to do that, slowly, you wouldn't have a difficult of doing that. You wouldn't have that problem. And if we don't train to do that, then we wouldn't reach point where we become comfortable to do that, and feel secure instead of feeling unsecure, instead of feeling joy, instead of feeling fear of giving, So in terms of giving, the object that we give, or the object of practice of giving or generosity. So then here it explains 4 objects. 3. In some other teachings, 4. Sometimes you see 4, sometimes 3. But of course, here it says giving. The first one, giving correct teaching to those destitute of the Dharma instructions. Of course, this is just one example. For those who are interested in the Dharma, in the teachings, and if you have the knowledge, if you have the wisdom to share and to give, then you should share and you should give. One, the person who is the other side is interested in that, who is interested in that knowledge, in that wisdom, in those teachings. And they don't have that knowledge, experience, or the wisdom, and they want that, they need that, and they have that interest. And you have the knowledge, you have the wisdom that you can share to help that person in that, then sharing, giving that knowledge, that wisdom is the practice generosity of the Dharma. But of course, here is the Dharma. It can be any knowledge, any wisdoms, any knowledge, any wisdom that you have, and other beings put that wisdom, that knowledge can be helped to someone else, and there is someone who needs that, who is interested that, who is in need of that. And by sharing, by giving that knowledge, that wisdom, that information, that experience that could help that person, then you should share that. You should give that. And that is practice of generosity. The practice of generosity of knowledge, wisdom, skills, Then second, here's a giving protections to those oppressed by the wrath of king, soldiers, etc. Leaders or someone who is more powerful than them. So that means, giving protections for those vulnerable ones, those in the needs and who are vulnerable, who have been oppressed by those who are powerful. If there is a way that you can help to give protections, then that is also the practice of generosity of protections. Someone from protecting someone from being bullied by someone more powerful, protecting someone from being abused by someone who is more powerful, protecting someone from being, exploited and taking advantage by someone who is more powerful to those who are weak and vulnerable. Those are the practice of generosity or protections. Here it gives king and shoulder, but of course it leaders, any kind of leaders. Or it doesn't even have to be leaders, someone who has more power, more power than the other ones. And therefore they misuse that power, Those frightening by the sentient beings, such as spirits, demons, wild animals, snakes, and so again, someone who is there is a frightening or fear of harm from those different, animal, non-animals, seen, unseen beings, So again, trying to give protections from them, in whatever way that you can, whatever means, tools that you might have to help them, to free them from the danger of those, from the fear of those things. So, so that is, and those frightening by the inanimate forces such as burning, crushing, drowning, and suffocation, So again, those who have, due to the floodings, due to the wildfires, due to the hurricanes, earthquake, whatever, due to natural disasters, due to those natural disasters, due to the, when there is a danger of that, whether it's another human being, another animal, another beings, trying to protect them from those dangers, providing protection from those dangers, the fear as well as the danger themselves. That is the practice of generosity or protections. That you had the ability to protect them from those dangers and you provide those, someone who is in danger by those different situations, And if there is a way that you can help them, to protect them, to save them from such danger, and doing that, giving by your time and giving your whatever resource or tools or ability that you have to protect them from such danger is a practice of generosity here. The practice of generosity is of protections. And third here is giving food, drink, healing, medicine, and so forth to those in need. And this is the generosity of material things, Someone who is, have hunger, they don't have resource or enough to eat. And if you have the opportunity to do that, you have the resource to do that, then, practicing the giving, the generosity of the food, drink, that is practice of generosity, If someone's sick and you have medicines or other cures that you might have, to cure or to reduce the pain of that individual who's sick, or even you don't have the medicine yourself, even you don't have the cure yourself, helping them to take to the places, bringing, whether it is helping to bring the doctors, the nurse, the medicines, or taking them to the hospitals, helping them to have those cure, those treatments, in whatever way that you can, when you are able. That is practice of generosity, you know. And of course, those who need shelter, to support to have shelters. Even you cannot, provide the whole shelter yourself, you could put a drop of water in something that creates shelter for those who need shelters. So, those organizations, that provide shelters for those who doesn't have shelters, whatever donation that you can make towards them, whatever, even if the tiny donations, as it says, drop of water, fill the buckets. When you see one drop of water, it seems insignificant. What will it make difference? But when there is a lot of drop of water, it fills the whole bucket. Same way, our donation might be very small, but when many people put that small donation, then it becomes big enough to provide a shelter for one or many, same to provide educations, There are so many people all around the world who doesn't have resource to have a good educations, And again, there are individuals, organizations who are trying to help those who need to provide education, better educations. Again, we might not be able to sponsor the whole classroom, whole things, but again, giving one drop of water, like giving some small, whatever we can afford, and when many others do that, that brings change, positive changes, and reduce the pain and suffering of so many, and give opportunity for so many others who otherwise wouldn't have the opportunity. And by providing opportunity to one child, that child can make a difference to the whole families, the situation of whole families. And in some cases, that child, through their education, they can be some of the greatest leaders of organization, of countries, and bring a lot of positive changes. Again, so that is, again, so there are so many different ways that we can practice generosity and support to make others' life better, to reduce the suffering and pain of others, to improve the life of others. And so that is the practice of generosity, And as I say, in some, then when sometimes there's another, the generosity of love, and is providing that love. Sometimes generosity is not only the external things, okay? In some situations, the internal generosity of love is more needed than external objects, especially in our modern time. Especially in our modern time, and in certain places, where a lot of people might not struggle with those material things, but they struggle with this not feeling loved, and thereby feeling lonely, uncared, and that become problem as they grow up with the emotional problems because they never felt they were truly loved. Nobody really loved them. Nobody really truly cared about them. Of course, they see people giving things, maybe their parents, maybe their friends, others. In some of material things, they can see they give, but they don't feel the love. And that is one thing, for the growth of human beings, not only the child, of course, the young child who is growing, the sense of affections, love, care for the child's brain and child to grow better emotionally, physically, all of that is important. But even for adults, that is, there are some people who are having emotional issues, mental issues because of that. And when they find someone, individual or organization or something, who truly show love, care, compassion, slowly, they started to heal. Slowly, they started to become better. Slowly, they are able to get rid of whatever emotion and mental problem they had before and to be function better. And there is so many, stories, so many beings who have experienced that, who are having a lot of issues, a lot of problem in their life on emotional level, mental level. But then they encounter someone or certain organization and where they felt true love, compassion from them. And that started to change. They started to heal whatever that was affecting them emotionally, mentally, and then they started to, so that is, so the practice of love, compassion to, it is not just about, like just throwing the food when someone is hunger. When someone is hunger, you just throw the food. They get the food, but there's no love, compassion, affections. So not only you give the food, but to show the affection, love, compassion, and care. And even you cannot provide the food, but to be able to show that love, compassion, care, that can mean a lot for that person. Even that person couldn't solve my problem of hunger, but at least there is someone who care about me, who love me, who have affection, who is concerned with me. So again, so that is in some texts, it is not here, but like you see, also when we were in succession Guru Yoga, there was talk of four givings. Those are the four givings, So here is in brief, with a free heart, free open heart with the compassions, with true compassion, love, that is what here free heart means, open heart with a loving compassion, mind or heart. Give your body positions and your merit of the past, present, and futures, in order to help and benefit others, and also in order to attain enlightenment for the goods of the world. So basically transforming your wealth, your virtues, and your own body or your own beings into the whatever objects the other needs, and then helping and giving them. Of course, giving your own body is not something we practice by everyone's, but it is when you reach certain high level realizations, then even you can give body, your own body, and you wouldn't have any difficulty with that. But of course, that such practice is not encouraged for the beginners. But like, the material things, possessions, our knowledge, wisdom, our skills, whatever skill that we have to offer to individual or organizations, we try to offer those skills, those tools that can help, giving our time, giving our moral support, um, and then, giving our virtues or the merit, whatever virtues, positive energy merit we might have created through good things that we do, positive deeds we do through past, future. We also kind of dedicate that all for others. That is sharing to others, giving to others. When we dedicate that all these virtues to others, instead of saying by these virtues, may I have a long life, may I have this and that, but instead by these virtues, may that all others have long life, healthy life, prosperity, happiness. So dedicating them to others is a practice of that generosity, giving your virtues to others, your merit, the positive energies for others. So, and then here the author use a quotation from, here Je Rinpoche. So Je Rinpoche means Lama Tsongkhapa, is another name, Lama Tsongkhapa. And Je Rinpoche said, the perfection of generosity which fulfilling gem to fulfill the hopes of the world. And it is true, when we practice the generosity, it fulfills, it's like wish fulfilling juice, it fulfills others' needs, to be able to support and give whatever you have to give, whatever you can support, and where their support and help is needed. And it fulfills those needs of other beings. It fulfills the needs of other beings through your practice of generosity. So it's like wish fulfilling gems for the others. It is like a wish fulfilling gem for the others because it fulfills others' needs and help, support. Of course, it not really help them, it also help yourself. It helps you to grow spiritually. It helps you to grow mentally. It helps you to become more kind, compassionate. It helps you to get closer to your awakening state. And then next he said, the best tools with which to cut the knot of miserliness, constricting the heart. Yeah, and so is that the miserliness, stingy mind, is the mind that closes our mind, our heart or our mind. That is not so open. It closes because it's holding so tightly. And whereas generosity, the opposite of that, is the tools that can cut that miserliness, stingy mind, that keep our mind, our heart from being very close, unopen, very narrow. The bodhisattva did giving birth to unfailing power of the spirit. And of course, the practice of generosity is one of those bodhisattva deeds or conduct or practice, and it is the practice that gives birth to unfailing power of spirit of true loving kindness, compassion, bodhicitta mind. The spirit of the bodhisattva practice, the very heart of the bodhisattva practice is that bodhicitta mind. That is the spirit of the bodhisattva's practice. very essence, very heart of that. And the practice of generosity support and help to improve the bodhicitta mind. You know, it is like, yeah, it's watering the bodhicitta mind as well as is carrying the bodhicitta mind into actions. You know, so that is what it is. The generosity practice. Yeah. You can be more generous. There's enough open space. You can be a little bit more generous. So yeah, it is the practice of generosity is in one is, taking the bodhicitta mind into actions, into action. When you practice out of that bodhicitta mind, loving and compassion, then you practice generosity, helping someone. Also, it is each time you practice generosity, it is also like giving water to that bodhicitta mind, so that bodhicitta mind started to grow more stronger and bigger, and so to make it more stabilizing that bodhicitta and blossoming that bodhicitta plant or the flowers better and bigger and stronger. And then here the foundation of beneficial reputations, if you practice the bodhicitta, generosity, of course people will like you. Everyone's like when you are able to, when there is someone to help you and support you when you need it. Of course you appreciate it. Of course you are grateful for that. Of course you like that person's. Not only human being, even animals. It's, when they are hungry, if you feed them, they will be appreciative, grateful, thankful. Maybe they might not be able to say it, but you can see in their expressions. They show off in that. So when they are in danger, being there to protect them from the dangers, we can see that. So any living beings, any sentient beings appreciate, and grateful someone support and help them through practice of different object of generosity. And we all like to be liked, don't we? We get disappointed when someone doesn't like us. We get upset when someone doesn't like us. Why is that he or she doesn't like me? What did I do wrong? Did I do something wrong? Did I say something wrong? Am I a bad person? That person doesn't like me? That clearly shows we like everyone to like us. So here he's saying, if you like other people to like you, practice generosity. As simple as that. You have to create the cause and conditions. You have to create the cause and condition for people to like you or any being to like you. And one of the cause and conditions to others to like you is the practice of generosity. Knowing this, with all this understanding, the wise rely upon the practice of giving their bodies, positions, and merit. And also, when we practice in generosity and any of those perfections, or paramitas, we try to also apply the practice of wisdom together with that by seeing the object of my generosity, whatever you are practicing generosity, that objects do not exist from its own side. Therefore, there's nothing to hold and cling and grasp on that. So that you don't get, you know, arrogant or feel that you're more superior because you practice generosity. It is possible. Sometimes you are generous, and then you see someone who is less generous, you might think you are more superior than that person. How that person is so ungenerous, how so miserable. And I'm generous person. I'm kind person. That person is so unkind, so mean. And feel you are better than that person. Feeling that you are more better than that person, more superior than that person because you meditate, because you are more compassionate, because you practice generosity, because you are more ethical, all of that means still there is grasping to there. Still there's a grasping to there. Still there is obstacles to your spiritual growth and practice. So while we will try to practice all of that, being kind, compassion, ethical, practice generous, all, but we shouldn't have any sense of feeling I'm more superior than them who doesn't practice that or who practice less of that. You shouldn't feel I'm more superior or that I am, so that kind of, we shouldn't allow that kind of feeling of superiority or arrogance to arise because that is obstacle of spiritual growth and practice. And in order to reduce those kind of, arrogant and feeling of superiority, then meditation on emptiness of the practice of generosity itself, the emptiness object of generosity, yourself who is practicing the generosity. When you are able to meditate and see the emptiness in all of that, then you wouldn't have any kind of those clinging, grasping that lead to that kind of superiority mind of generosity. And so that is why in the Buddha, in his Dhammapada Sutra, where he explained, one need to cultivate the bodhicitta mind, but to cultivate bodhicitta mind by seeing the emptiness of the sentient beings, to whom the emptiness of the enlightened being, emptiness yourself. So, you generate bodhicitta mind without any clinging and grasping. And same, practicing generosity, by seeing the emptiness of the whole object of generosity. The subject who is practicing the generosity, the practice of generosity itself, and then the object of generosity, by seeing all of them as emptiness, as empty, and not having clinging and grasping to any of them. And when you don't have any clinging and grasping to them, then it doesn't lead to that sense of superior mind, the arrogant mind. And when you do that, your practice of generosity becomes much more pure, much more powerful, much more effective. So I think today I will stop here. I can take a few questions. If anyone has any questions, please. Questions, comments? Is there Mark has something?
Thank you for the very thorough knowledge of compassion. I just want to make a request. I've had sat through a bunch of lectures on the 6 perfections. And it seems like, in my experience, we always spend like 80% of the time talking about compassion and generosity. And always 0% spent on joyous energy, making joyous energy happen. And for me, the joyous energy is like the root. I mean, nothing else. If you're tired and you have no time, then everything else goes out the window. So my request is, I don't know how much time you have to go through or how all 6 perfections are covered in this work, but I would like to hear more about, what is joyous energy? How do you generate it? How do you know you've lost it? What is that? What is joyous energy? Where does it come from? Stuff like that.
Okay, thank you.
Hmm?
Any other questions? Don't be shy.
Yeah. Tony.
Is it me? Oh, yes. Thank you so much, Geshe, for your wonderful teachings. The question that I have is everything you say, it's Catherine. The question is, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, everything you say is always it's so relevant. And it can, my mind anyways, can spin a little bit with all the various ways to learn to cultivate being beneficial in any way, really. And my question, and I pray that it's not an unfair one, with even though I'm Canadian, living in Canada, looking at what's going to be going on in the States on Tuesday, politically, and all the divisiveness, and looking at what's going on even in Canada or many of the other countries, I find it a little bit difficult not to grasp onto wanting a positive outcome just because for everyone. And the question that I have is, I'm wondering if there's a way, a short little way, something that I could put in my mind and maybe minds of others that would really be beneficial for all, a way to think at this time through this. Because of course one can't control it, but one does hope that things are that things go well, or I mean it's hard not to, and I wonder if you have any insight on that, please. Thank you.
Yeah, I know. I think everyone is nervous in this country as well as throughout the world, because what happens in these countries affect also rest of the world in some way and another ways. Some countries are affected more strongly, some countries more directly, but indirectly in a subtle way. So and regardless of what political view you believe, which party you support, not everyone's nervous. I think everyone's going through nervous. I think, my personal take or my way of thinking is, I don't know whether it helped you or not. Of course, you do what you feel is right for you. You feel however you can contribute towards a best outcome that you feel. You try to do that in your positions, whatever you do. After that, then it's not in our hand.
Right.
It's not in our hand. So, So mentally being prepared. You can try for the best outcome that you want to see at the same time, and we hope and we pray. We hope, we pray, and we try to do best yourself in order to have the best outcome result. But apart from that, it's not in your hand, you know. And being prepared, okay, to be okay, accepting that and be okay with that. You know, if that is what our karma is supposed to be, if that is the karma of the world supposed to be, if it's the karma of this world supposed to be, that is it. You try everything in your hand to have certain results, and the result comes something else. You don't regret what you give yourself, you do yourself what you can do, and after that, it's not in our hand. And so then, you know, maybe that is what, you know, and the more I think I feel so much more karma, you know. Normally karma, you know, how karma. Normally someone as such, you know, if you make one mistake, you are gone. We have seen so many people making one mistake, what they say and what they do. Either party, any party, but there is something beyond that. You can make all this speech or, you know, again and again, and still there's something that attracts or some energy. There is something that, and that you cannot just explain. That you cannot explain how it is. So, you know, maybe there is some karmic energy. You know, there's some karmic energy that we all have to go through, deal with that to overcome certain phase of karma, certain phase of the time to move forward. You know, sometimes it is like that, even in our lives. Sometimes certain people struggle, they have to go to the very bottom to come out of it. You know, do you get it? People who struggle with addiction from some time. And no matter how much, you know, people around have to try to help, no matter how much they also want to get out of it, go to rehabilitation and relapse and all of this. Doesn't seem to, until they reach the bottom where is dead, or you give up that, or is dead, horrible death or something. Coming to that very rock bottom, then help them to get out of that and really progress. And sometimes that also happens, even as a country, as a world, as that. Sometimes we go a certain level to get better, to see, you know, it's so, you know, even it goes either way, you know, I think we have to see something positive out of that. There's no other options. And there's no other options. And the way I see is that, you know, maybe you go to the very bottom to come out of that, and then really have a much more bigger understanding, more awakening, more enlightening as a country, as you know, for betterness of the country, for the betterness of the world. So again, so anyway, with that, I don't think so much. Okay, I don't think much about that. No, of course, I do have hope that certain positive outcome comes, but if it isn't, you just have to be okay and accept with that.
Thank you so very much.
Okay.
So we'll take the next question from Tony.
Okay.
So, excuse me. Can you guys hear me? Oh, you can. Okay, cool. So, first of all, I really like the question that was asked and your response, Geshe, enlivens the heart. So, thank you. And the question is, thank you. Very important question, timely, critical. For myself, I might have, yesterday while hiking, I might have had an experience similar to the very end of your talk this morning about simply responding to a situation. I was on the trail. I was sending the trail, and like old people should stay off trails, but we're not going to. You know, I'm going up, and these 80-year-olds are coming down.
Can you hold a little bit tight?
Oh, yeah,
yeah.
Okay, I'm going up the trail. These 80-year-olds are coming down, you know, so there's convergence of a whole bunch of 80-year-olds. And it was a husband and wife, and the wife started to slip.
Mhm.
And I have a shoulder injury and a whole bunch of stuff at this time. And I just reached out my arm to help without a thought, just responding to the needs of the situation. And it wasn't anything about compassion or anything. It was just responding to the needs of another human being or another being. Although there was like not another being, it was just the response to the situation. There wasn't a me, there wasn't a them.
Mhm.
And I don't know if that's kind of like what you were alluding to at the end of your talk. I have no idea.
Well, you know, the very reason that you actually exchange or response immediately and automatically in that way is coming from the very root of compassion or sense of care or for someone, another beings. So even though we don't feel that in that moment, but without that root, you know, you wouldn't reach out that. You know, so in the very root there is that it is coming from that. But of course, you know, as I mentioned, and as you so that there is no sense of me or others or what. If we don't have that, and if you don't hold on that, and then definitely, if you bring the wisdom into in that practice, then again, definitely is even better and more supreme, more powerful. Mark has something to say.
We also have one from Susan too.
Okay.
So
I just wanted to say, this election coming up is samsara. It is samsara. Tell me if you disagree, but it is. So it is possible to take all the worry and fear and whatever and direct it toward practice and renunciation. Yeah.
that was a paid announcement. All right, our last question is from
Okay,
Susan.
yeah.
This is very short also. It's actually not a question. I hope that's okay. But I really appreciated your response about this topic that came up that's not unrelated to the topic you were teaching about. And your personal way of navigating this was very helpful to hear. I have this quote by Thich Nhat Hanh that has helped me a lot. If I might read it.
Yes.
Someone asked me, "Aren't you worried about the state of the world?" I allowed myself to breathe. And then I said, what is most important is not to show your anxiety. It's not to, no. Sorry. What is most important is not to allow your anxiety about what happens in the world to fill your heart. If your heart is filled with anxiety, you will get sick and you will not be able to help.
Mm-hmm.
Feels similar to what you said, if you do your part and then you let it go.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And this, personally, I have understanding of the concept of karma and just accepting from that in so many. I've shared also before one time I was traveling and the airplane was very bumpy in the mountains, small airplane. And of course, in Nepal, there is a lot of accident as well. And you look down all mountains. Suddenly, what if something happens, they wouldn't even be able to find the body, how they are going to find the bodies, in these such mountains. And so fear arises, And then I started to think, contemplate, well, if I'm supposed to die, I don't have to be in this plane. I just be in walking and someone can just hit me by accidentally. Or I might be eating and I can choke myself. I might be kind of in myself with no one else and something can choke myself. I could die there. If my karma is not ripened at this point, so once I try to contemplate, think, and I just try to live to because there's nothing I can do, to change the situation. If there is something I can do to change, of course, you will try to be more careful, more concerned, take all the precautions, everything. I'm in the plane, and the plane is flying, and it's windy, and so that is what happens. So there is nothing but just by being able to reflect, contemplate, and to be able to accept, that kind of helped me to let go of the fear of that. And that is, I personally find very helpful in many situations, most situations. You do your best to make things better. You try to give your best, try to do your best to think. And then, other than that, being okay and accepting whatever result comes after that. And once the result comes, then if there are things that you can improve something that is become worse or something that you can do better than that, there are actions that you can do after that. But what kind of result is it within in your north hand, and then you just leave it to that. Personally, I personally find that helpful, and as I mentioned, in such cases, then I started to think not just the negative side of that, the other outcome. I try to start thinking positive side of that. There could be negative side of that, and also there could be some other positive side of that. So thinking in that way also helped a little bit sometimes. And that is part of the Lojong practice. Is that that if you look with a certain eyes, certain perceptions, you find a light in every darkness. You can always find a light in every darkness. If you find and you see some light in darkness, then you don't be so overwhelmed by those negative feelings. But when you cannot see the light, only you see is dark, never ending dark, then it is hard. It will be hard not to feel the negative feelings, anxieties, all different, what might be feelings. Yeah. Okay, do the dedications.
From Master Shantideva. May all beings everywhere plagued by sufferings of body and mind obtain an ocean of happiness and joy by virtue of my merits. May no living creature suffer commit evil, or ever fall ill. May no one be afraid or belittled with a mind weighed down by depression. May the blind see forms and the deaf hear sounds. May those whose bodies are worn with toil be restored on finding repose. May the naked find clothing, the hungry find food. May the thirsty find water and delicious drinks. May the poor find wealth, those weak with sorrow find joy. May the forlorn find hope, constant happiness and prosperity. May there be timely rains and bountiful harvests. May all medicines be effective and wholesome prayers bear fruit. May all who are sick and ill quickly be freed from their ailments. Whatever diseases there are in the world, may they never occur again. May the frightened cease to be afraid. May those bound be freed. May the powerless find power. And may people think of benefiting each other. For as long as space remains, for as long as sentient beings remain, until then, may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. And then the long life prayer for His Holiness. Gangri rawe korwe jin kam dear pendang dewa mali ne Chen Rei Zingwa Tenzing Gyatso Yi Jape Site Bardu Tengyur Chi.
And also, I think not only the Tuesday, coming weeks and months, we have to watch our mind, take care of our mind, not to allow ourselves to have so much anger, those different negative emotions, because a lot of things could happen and happens. And by being aware and understanding that everyone is human beings, sentient beings, just like us, we might have a different opinion, different choices, but they are also another human being, another sentient beings who feel they are doing the right thing, what they feel is right. We feel what is right, and we're trying to feel what is right, and everyone's have different idea of what is right, what is not right. And so best, even if we cannot feel compassion, at least make working with our mind not to have those too much negative emotions. I think that is, so it is a time to practice. We have as Mark said, we have been talking that now is a time to practice. You have to practice. You have no other options. Either you practice or you allow yourself to get in a dark state of mind yourself, and thereby affecting your own well-beings, emotional, physical well-being, as well as sending that negative energy to the world, that the place we send in. Instead, we have to be positive and joyful and positive, and not allow ourselves to be in that negative state of mind, dark state of mind. And so, at least maybe probably weeks and months, you really have to watch your mind and work with your mind strongly. Thank you. Thank you.